Good morning. You are listening to National Real Estate Auction Radio, and I am your host, Doug Dennison. We are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the Internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com, and the show will also be archived on rawauctions.com, who is the sponsor of this show, and youtube.com. We're going to be talking about real estate auctions, past auctions, upcoming auctions, different real estate markets across the country. We've got lots of topics today to help us out. We have several real estate and auction leaders calling in today. Let me go over the schedule and a few things about the people who will be calling in. We're going to have Craig Haskell, who's author of The Inside Game to Real Estate Value Investing and founder of ValueHoundAcademy.com. From Phoenix, Arizona. He's getting up early to give us a call. Also going to have Chris Pratt. He's from Chris Pratt Auctioneers, Realty, and Auction from Anderson, South Carolina. Then we're going to have Lawrence Friedman, who's the former director of the Executive Office for U.S. Trustees. Friedman, he's the managing partner of Friedman Partners in Stuart, Florida. And then we'll have Allison Marchetti, who is with Rowell Auctions from Moultrie, Georgia. So we've got people from all across the land, and excited to have these people calling in. The mission statement for this program is to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for auctions across the country. Our listeners are real estate investors, real estate agents, auctioneers, real estate media. Going to say they are listening to find out what's happening with auctions, what's happening with real estate markets across the country. So, very exciting. We've got our first call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey there, Doug. How you doing?
Well, how are you? This is Craig. Is that correct?
Craig Haskell, yes, you got it.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Craig. I gave you a quick intro, but tell us about your book. And again, I want to thank you for getting up early. You're from Phoenix, so it's really about 7 o'clock in the morning over there. And I thank you so much for calling in. Tell us about the book, first of all.
Okay, great. Thanks, Doug, for having me. I appreciate it. Just working a little bit of coffee here, but the book I created just wrote it a couple months ago, just came out. And the reason I wrote the book was because we were saying one of the greatest times to be a value real estate investors, where values have plummeted almost 50% in some parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great time to get in and start buying real estate. And so that's why I wrote the book.
And it's called, what's the title again?
The name of the book is The Inside Game to Real Estate Value Investing, where inside the book we go through the whole process on how to create and find value, how to buy deals, how to raise money for the properties. I've got 11 interviews with some of the leading value investors around the country that are making money in today's market, and we talk about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and that's kind of what the book's about.
Well, I got your name because I got an email. Your marketing department's obviously very good, and you had a free webcast on investing in real estate and how to do it. I think you had a speaker on that day, and I was impressed and said we need to have Craig on the show. So are you trying to teach newcomers to the possibilities of buying in this type of market, or kind of tweaking maybe somebody that has invested before? Who is your market?
Well, I would say our market is, I have a site called the ValueHoundAcademy.com, and what it is, it's a voice for value-minded oriented real estate investors that are either new to the business or have a little bit of experience. We basically help them take the next step into either getting the first deal done or starting to grow their portfolio. And like you said, every Wednesday we have a webcast, and we're talking to somebody that's been very successful in business, and they talk about what they're doing in the market right now, how they're doing it, some of the problems that they had when they first got going, how they overcame those problems, and what they'd be doing differently today and why they think today's a great time to be in the real estate market. So the whole site is dedicated towards helping real estate investors make money in today's market. A lot of real estate investors, especially the new ones, they see the opportunities. They see this as a great time to be in it, but they don't really know how to do that. They don't know how to take the next step to capitalize on the market. So the site's dedicated towards information, whether it's I've written a lot of special reports, articles, tons of interviews. There's tutorials, video tutorials that they can watch. So it's really not a money-making site. It's a place that I'm passionate about, which is value real estate investing. It's a place for people to learn about and get new ideas.
Well, I'm looking at your bio, and you've done a great deal of investing yourself. You've owned and managed 7,200 units and 2.8 million square feet of commercial space. That's a lot of property.
Yeah, I've been in this business almost 30 years, 82, so we're almost talking almost 30 years here. And, I got in the business like a lot of people that on this site right here. I started going to seminars. Robert Allen was a no-down guy back in my day, and there was a nice guy named Wade Cook. And I started going to these seminars and learning this stuff and trying to go out and do it on my own. And I just kind of struggled for quite a while trying to do it. And so I thought, I'm just going to get in the business. So I started to go to work for a commercial real estate company as a real estate broker, and did that for a few years. And I learned a lot, and that really was the best education for me. And so, once I learned it, I started putting together partnerships, and we started buying properties. And I had a management company, I had a brokerage company, I had an investment company, I had a construction company, and I just continued to do that for years. And I did that in Southern California till 1991, and then I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. If anybody remembers, the last big real estate crash was the RTC days.
Yes.
And we came out here and we bought a bunch of apartments in 91, and we made almost 6 times our money in about 5 years during that time period. And I think the next great wealth creation opportunity is right now. In fact, if you look at a lot of the guys that I've interviewed, and women that I've interviewed, if you look at when they got started in the early 90s, the last great buying opportunity. And I really believe that you look 20 years out in the future, you're going to look to see where some of the real estate companies got started, and will be in this time period right now.
Well, interestingly, I was in auction business at that time, and we did one of the largest RTC, one of the first RTC auctions. It was in 91. We did it in Denver, Colorado for 2 days. We did it in Albuquerque for 1 day, and also Phoenix, Arizona for 1 day. I think we had about 40 properties. I can't remember the name of the resort that we actually held the auction there, but you are right. This is very it's a great opportunity. The RTC, the government formed that. In fact, I was involved in the legislation and trying to get auction marketing into the wording, and was successful in that, thank heavens, because it wasn't in the original legislation or what the plans were. And auctions became much more popular, became much more well-known to people across the country because of the RTC. Were you involved in any of those auctions years ago, or did you just buy directly from the RTC?
Yeah, no, we bought mainly from brokers and off-market deals.
Okay.
Banks. I think all the deals we had were all foreclosures, and and like today, that's where a lot of the inventory is coming from, is a lot of the lending institutions.
Yes.
So I think one of the reasons I like to impress upon everybody is just to understand why this is a great buying opportunity. And it's a great buying opportunity because prices are well below replacement cost in many parts of the country.
Yep.
So take, for example, Phoenix. We just take the housing market. Housing market here in 2008, average selling price of a home is $265,000. Today, it's $110,000.
Wow.
And it costs $150,000 to build a house. So you're buying way below replacement cost. And at some point in time, they're going to have to start building again. And when they do, prices got to at least go back to that $150,000 mark. Also, if you look at how values have decreased so much, rents have really not gone down that much. So you can really, deals pencil today. 3-4 years ago, they just did not make any sense. And now you can make these deals cash flow today. And the worst case is, you wait for the market to turn around, you're getting decent cash flow. But when the market does turn, you're going to get some nice value appreciation.
Do you specialize in any certain area, multifamily, or, what's your kind of specialty?
Well, I've been in all asset classes. I've managed and owned just about all different types. My real specialty has been apartments in the last probably 20 years. That's where I cut my teeth.
Yep.
And where I feel like my most experience is, and that's where I see probably the best opportunity right now is in the apartment sector. If you look at some of the fundamentals over the last few years, vacancy rates in all asset classes have been going up. And this is the first year in 2011 where we see vacancy rates starting to go down. Rents are starting to go up. So the fundamentals are setting up for a great opportunity.
How about financing for these new investors? How is that doing in your part of the woods?
It just depends on what level you're at. If you're at a high level and you're using institutional money, a lot of the deals that are going down right now are cash. There's lots of cash on the sidelines. Now, your return's a little bit less because you're using cash, but there's a lot of cash deals. Now, a lot of deals are being financed, but on the lower end, where there's not as much cash, you get a lot of seller financing. A lot of investors have to come up with a little bit more down than they used to, and it's a little tougher getting a loan right now. In fact, it takes longer because there's more scrutiny on the borrower.
Mm-hmm. And how do you are you helping people to try to create groups and partnerships? How do you counsel them to get enough money to buy these opportunities? Because and again, I was involved in the RTC, saw a lot of people make a lot of money. Sometimes, best friends get together and here's 50,000, here's 50,000, and let's roll, or here's 500,000 and let's roll. How are you helping them or counseling them?
Well, the way our model is and our approach is we're kind of syndicators. Our goal is to go out and find great opportunities, great value creation opportunities, great buying opportunities, and go out and find investors that see the opportunity. The doctors, the attorneys, the ones that have wealth, that don't have the time, they see the opportunity, they just don't know how to capitalize on it.
Yep.
Put the two together. Hey, I've got the deal, you've got the money, let's go buy this thing together. And we did an interview with Steve Bergsman, and he's interviewed Donald Trump, all the big guys. He wrote the book called Maverick Real Estate Investing, and he said, and I think he's right, based on some of the people I've talked to, that the key right now in the next 3 years is whoever raises the most money is going to have the most wealth going down the road, because the deals are out there and you can only buy so much. So it's a matter of coupling the money with the deals.
Do you also get involved in buying loans? It seems like the banks are a little bit leery of taking back the property, so they're restructuring them, and they'd rather sell the loan compared to foreclose on the property, have the liability, and so that some more loans are going down. Are you involved in that at all?
Not personally, but I would say probably 80% of the people we've interviewed are buying notes. In fact, that's probably their number one thing they like to do is try and buy a troubled note, thinking that they might get it back. They call it a loan to own, and you see a lot of that going on. It's a very sophisticated, and it's one of the strategies I talk about in my book, but it's a very sophisticated thing for investors to do, and I don't recommend it for the newer investors. In fact, it's hard to really get to do it.
You've got to be more savvy. Have a good attorney that you work with, because you've
got to have you have to have a lot of cash, and you have to have an attorney, because there's a lot that goes on. You can buy a troubled note, but you might be buying a big problem.
Yes.
You got to make sure you do your due diligence. You have environmental problems. There's a lot that goes into it. And for the newer investors, a lot of the ones that we work with, I don't recommend that, at least out of the gate.
Right. Now, tell me about your feelings with the FDIC. Do you see more banks going down? Do you see more opportunities coming up? What's your crystal ball for the future?
Yeah, I think that the banks right now are still struggling. Yeah, and I can tell you for the next year and a half, you're going to see more bank closures, probably 100 or so. And I think the opportunities are going to continue. A lot of banks are holding on to properties, and there hasn't really been a big flood like we thought was going to come on the market. And there hasn't been a clearing. Back in the RTC days, remember, we created an organization called the Resolution Trust Corporation that their job is to go out and liquidate all of these troubled assets.
Yes.
We don't have that organization set up right now, so it's going to be a slow process if these properties come on the market. It's not going to be all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 years, we clear everything out. So I think it's going to be a slow go, but the opportunity is going to be there probably for the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, a lot of money has been formed in the last few years, waiting for the floodgates to open up, and it really hasn't. And so now some of these funds, they've been saying we're going to buy, and haven't bought. So does that play into the structure of what's going to happen in the future? Are they going to give the money back to the investors? I don't think so. So that means that they've got to be looking to buy before the fund runs out. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, what you've seen is there's tons of capital sitting on the sidelines.
Right.
Money's been raised in all different types of funds. I just saw Barry Sternlich's just going to raise another $3 billion fund, the ninth fund. And there's a lot of money sitting there, and I think going forward, you're going to see cap rates continue to go down, and they have gone down. And where a lot of that money is going more into the low-risk properties, the core plus type assets that have, cash flow that you can see. It's not so much the value add where you're going to take a little bit of risk. There's a little bit of entrepreneurial thinking how you can make this property work. That will come down the road, but I think the cap rates prices will continue to go up on the higher class assets, just the lower risk type deals.
Well, that's interesting. I'm thinking that based on people that I've talked to, and again, we both talked to a lot of experts in the area, and it's a wonderful thing. Relationships are everything, as you know. But it does seem that they are going to have to do some more buying and large portfolios, and usually when there's not that much to buy, and there's a lot of buyers, then prices go up. And I think what has happened, or at least from my perspective, a couple of years ago when the money was formed, there were some good opportunities, and you could buy portfolios at pick a number, 30 cents on the dollar, and now it's almost double that, where investors are buying at 50 cents on the dollar, 60 cents on the dollar, and of course there's risk. So I know these numbers sound, my gosh, what a bargain, but you've got to make money, you've got to buy at the right price, because you're taking a large risk. Have you seen the prices go up in your area?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the asset class. But overall, for sure, the prices have gone up mainly because there's so much capital flooding the market.
Exactly.
Capital is the competition for the deals. And so, for example, if you have a property that's a decent property and a broker lists property, you might get 18, 20 bids on that thing.
Yeah.
And that just pushes the price up and up and up. In fact, I would say probably 90% of the people we talk to, most of the deals that they're getting, the good deals, are off market. The ones that don't actually make it to the listing, because you're not going to get a good deal, a great price if it's listed and it's a decent property, because there's so much money out there chasing deals. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your area in the Phoenix. What class is going up and down, and also talk to us a little bit more about residential.
I would say the Phoenix marketplace is, since I've been here in '91, I've done a lot of research on it. It's a boom and bust town. I mean, there's so much land out here, so when things are booming, developers are building like crazy. And then when the economy turns around, there's too much building to go on. We have all this supply, this inventory, and the market busts. It crashes. But the positive thing is Phoenix is a great place to live. It has a high quality of life. It's a great business environment. It's so affordable to live here right now. I mean, you could go out and really, if you search around, I bought a bunch of houses for $50,000 right now, and so it's a great time to be in the marketplace. So that being said, we're at the point right now where you're really starting to see the prices starting to go back up again, and so you're going to see a nice little growth period over the next 4, 5, 6 years. And I would say the apartments are obviously the number one asset class right now. It's the number one asset class that investors like because, as a market turns, they're shorter-term leases. An office building may have, a 5-year lease, and you're locked in. So it takes a while for that to roll through before you can actually raise rents. So office is probably, I would say, the least desired. Retail would be probably behind apartments, and industrial will probably be right in there as well.
Well, excellent. Tell us how people can reach you, because we're going to need to go to the break at the half hour, and I want to make sure that people know how to contact you, maybe hear some of your weekly webcast. You are obviously very knowledgeable, and people want to get your book. So what is your website so people can contact you?
All right, my website is www.valuehoundacademy.com, and that's a website where there's tons of information for listeners to go to learn new stuff. And I bring other people in, so it's not just my insight.
Mm-hmm.
The book I have is called The Inside Game to Real Estate Value Investing, and for your listeners, for the next probably 5 days or so, I have a place they can go and they get downloaded for free, and I think it'd be a good starting point. And the web address they can go to is www.theinsidegame.com, and they just go ahead and put their information in and get it immediately, and that's kind of what we're doing.
Excellent, excellent. Do you also want to give your email out so people can, people that are on their computer right now maybe can send you an email and give you some thoughts on what they want to do?
Yeah, I'd encourage that. My email address is Craig, C-R-A-I-G, at valuehoundacademy.com. That's Craig at valuehoundacademy.com. And I encourage feedback from people. If they want to take a look at the site and some things they don't like, more information they want to see, I want them to challenge me to make it a better site. So I would be open to that.
Craig, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, to meet you over the phone. Again, very knowledgeable. You want to go on his website, valuehoundacademy.com. Thank you for calling in so early, and I definitely appreciate it. You have a great weekend.
Awesome. Take care, Doug.
Take care.
Okay.
MarkNet Alliance is a national, membership-based network of 41 auction companies. Our companies are successful auction professionals with proven track records and thriving businesses. The MarkNet companies have a staff of over 540 employees who are working hard every day to meet the goals of their clients during our ever-changing economy. MarkNet companies are able to achieve these goals through cutting-edge technologies and ever-growing investor pools. To view the hundreds of auctions currently being conducted, or for more information, visit marknetalliance.com.
All right, we're back. This is National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. We just had Craig Haskell call in. He wrote the book, The Inside Game to Real Estate Value Investing, and he's the founder of ValueHoundAcademy.com. He's from Phoenix, Arizona. So he woke up, got his coffee, and gave us a call at 7:06 this morning, so I want to thank him very much. He talked a lot about what to do and what not to do in regards to investing. He's had 25 to 30 years of real estate investing, owned and managed 7,200 units and 2.8 million square feet of commercial space. So the man knows what he's doing, and it was wonderful to have him give us a call. The mission statement for this program is to provide educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for auctions across the country. We are sponsored by RowellAuctions.com and MarkNetAlliance.com. And very, very good information. He's also got a book you might want to read. Again, that's The Inside Game to Real Estate Value Investing. Craig, thank you so much for calling in. We've got more guests on the half hour. We're going to go for the break. But listen in and enjoy yourself. Have another cup of coffee. And again, this is Doug Dennison from the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. We broadcast every Friday live from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Let's go to the break.
It's time to visit the St. John's Flea Market. Great deals every weekend. Every weekend there's more, too. Great bargains and great food and those great deals at the St. John's Flea Market. Get off I-95 at State Road 207. That's I-95 at 207. And if you want to be a vendor, hey, booth rentals start at only $10 a day. Churches and charities, you can get a free booth 2 days a month. And for everybody else, there's always great deals at the St. John's Flea Market. Call them up, 824-4210, or go to stjohnsfleamarket.com.
Licensed by the state as a skilled nursing facility and certified for a broad range of payer types, the Ponce Therapy Care Center's team of professionals is committed to providing the best nursing care and rehabilitation services. Choosing a skilled nursing facility for a loved one is always a difficult decision. At the Ponce Therapy Care Center, our admissions and social service staff assist you in making an informed, caring decision. We provide information about our facility, determine your payment options, and strategize about your loved one's regimen of care, length of stay, and expected discharge to home. At the Ponce Therapy Care Center, we are proud that over 90% of those admitted to our rehabilitation program successfully return to home. In an industry that is often seen as the final alternative, our goal is to become your first option and facility of choice for skilled nursing and rehab services. The Ponce Therapy Care Center is located at 1999 Old Moultrie Road. Call us at 824-3311 or visit us online at poncecarecenter.com.
Meet John Kordick, owner of Florida Landscape and Nursery. So what sets you apart from it? Obviously, you have competition out there.
Yeah, it's obviously the quality. We actually care. And there's so many ways to skimp and cheese out on a job, but we make sure that we are very, very conscientious of, burying your pipe irrigation pipe should be at a certain distance deep. Trees should be set the way they're supposed to be to look balanced on a property. Shrubs should be aesthetically placed properly. Mulch depths, fertilizing. The grade for the sod needs to be like, it's not just throwing a green piece of sod down. There's a lot of preparation in getting the grade proper for it. And just a tremendous amount of little things that we do to make sure that it's right. And if it's not right, all my guys that have been with me for 10 or 15 years or more, they will not let the job go without making sure it's right.
To learn more about Florida Landscape and Nursery, visit floridalandscape.net or call 824-0991.
Are you concerned that court costs, creditors' claims, and legal fees could eat up a significant portion of your estate? I'm local attorney Tom Pycraft of Pycraft Legal Services. Our office is located on US 1 South in St. Augustine, and our attorneys can help you understand how to minimize estate taxes, avoid probate, and plan for all your final wishes. Visit us on the web at pycraftlaw.com or call us today at 940-0060. That's 940-0060.
Okay, we are back. We've got a new caller. Good morning. You're on the air. We missed that call. Hopefully you'll call right back. Again, this is Doug Dennison, National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. We broadcast every Friday live from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. And we just had a great speaker. His name is Craig Haskell. He called from Phoenix, Arizona. He is somebody that knows about creating wealth. We're at a time right now where prices are very low. And that's when you should buy. And through auctions or through brokers, this is the way you should do it. Let's get another call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Well, good. Chris, thank you so much for calling in. Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and where you're from.
Well, my name's Chris Pratt. I own a company called Chris Pratt Auctioneers Realty and Auction. We've been in business almost 30 years, and we're based out of Anderson, South Carolina, and we have home offices in Camden, South Carolina, which is in the central part of the state, and then also in Charleston, Mount Pleasant area there, in Charleston area there. So we cover it from the mountains to the sea, and we sell real estate at auction.
Well, Chris, you and I met a couple of weeks ago. We're in Orlando at the National Auctioneers Association, and had time to sit down and talk. You told me that you were actually a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives for a number of years. Tell me about that.
Well, politics is an interesting business, but when when I finished college at Wofford College and got into I was a real estate broker and also an auctioneer, having worked learned the auction business from an old sheriff in our county that was really our county-wide auctioneer.
Mm-hmm.
I was elected when I was 21 and served for 8 years and enjoyed that public service, but been totally focused in the auction business since then.
Well, I number one praise you for going into politics and helping people. That's a very good thing. A lot of people don't get into politics because it's so onerous at this time. It's so with the internet and everybody looking at every move. A lot of people just don't get in. So I wanna thank you for spending the time 8 years in helping the House of Representatives in South Carolina.
You're quite welcome, but I had my share of bumps along the way, and I have to tell you something. Young people today, they need to take a deep breath before they look at it. There's all kinds of different ways you can serve the general public, and politics is just one of them. And right now, I think that having real leaders that and also in our industry, we're in a position now to where in a need now to where we need to be leaders in our industry and lead our clients, lead our constituencies, and sometimes it's a hard path, but we've got tough economic times out here, and no needing to promise things we can't deliver, and,
Mm-hmm.
and be a leader and explain reality to them and where they are. I got an old philosophy. I like backing things out from the grave. 100% of us die. I do a lot of estate work in the auction business, and whatever we inherit sometimes from families is a gift if we've been fortunate to do that, or whatever asset that you're dealing with. You just need to be realistic to your client and tell them where they are and tell them where the marketplace is and give them a fair and realistic range. Make people happy on the day of the sale and not on the day you book a deal. So that's kind of how our philosophy for our company is, and we work that way. And it's I think we've helped people in our business, and also I think that we've not overestimated successes. We had great successes in the mid-'90s, in the mid-2000s.
Mm-hmm. We
were setting new market highs, pretty much all over the country. Our industry was, and now we're setting some new market lows. And that's just the auction profession is a leader in the market trends and what happens. And so we're going through some tough times now, but we'll work through it. I had an auction yesterday, a little small property down in a rural area in South Carolina, down a little place called Fairfax, and very surprising. We had 10 registered bidders for one asset, and so I'm seeing people are back out again. Customers are back out again, looking at clients' properties in a manner to make an investment. They can't get any return on a CD at the bank. The stock market is very volatile, and we're at some bargain levels on real estate. So I'm very hopeful that we're thatching now, and we're gonna start rebuilding here over the next few years.
Well, I agree with you in the philosophy of under promise and over deliver. It's always been a good one, and the other part is trust and making a friend. That's in any business, but certainly with the auction profession. You talked about leadership. One of the leaders in the auction business right now is MarkNet Alliance, and you are part of that. How did you get involved with MarkNet Alliance?
Well, I come from a legal background, and I had developed back years ago a franchise with Ryan's Family Steakhouse. I'd had a part in helping grow a franchise, so I had some knowledge of franchising, and I guess with the three principal owners of MarkNet, we have 20% stockholders, but the other part of the company is owned by Kurt Allman, who is a master in technology, and J.J. Dower, who's just now been elected our NAA vice president, is an owner, and I'm an owner as well, and we kind of divided up areas of expertise, and mine was basically the legal aspect of it and the contract. MarkNet Alliance is a South Carolina corporation, and International Auction Marketing Inc. is the parent company, and we have auctioneers throughout the country, 40 plus auctioneers, and it seems to be a growing group of professionals with high standards and able to come together and work on new technology and new ideas, and also helping each other help the clients. So the theme of MarkNet mainly is that we work from the bottom up. Joe Smith Auction Company has been prominent for 30 years. I'm using as a hypothetical in a particular area of the United States. We believe in MarkNet that all real estate is local. Many assets are local, and that Joe Smith is my analogy. Has developed a name, and we're branding, but we're working. We're there to a la carte help that member as a member of the alliance, and not MarkNet Alliance Joe Smith Auction Company. So we promote Joe Smith Auction Company, and they are a member of MarkNet Alliance. So they get the benefit of a national franchise without taking away their name, so to speak. So that's that's just our philosophy. We work from the bottom up instead of the top down.
Well, give me your website, because I want to make sure people can contact you to utilize your services, and maybe a telephone number so that people can utilize your services for auctions, real estate, and otherwise.
Right. Well, my website is www.pratt, and its German name is Pracht. We pronounce it Pratt, but the website is www.pratt, Pracht, auction, AUCTION.net. And that's our website. My telephone is nationwide toll-free, 800-877-3044. And my mobile phone that I have with me is 864-933-3588.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for calling in. And MarkNet Alliance, which is marknetalliance.com, I think they've got 350 auctions going on right now. They have 420,000 unique visitors coming to their site every month, which has got to be a help to a firm like yours.
Well, it certainly is, and the key that needs to be understood throughout our industry and throughout the buying and selling communities is that 98% of the people that are looking to purchase real estate, looking to sell real estate, do their research on the internet. And if you want proof positive of that, Doug, you just look at the value of the New York Times and the different various hard newspapers. And I love newspapers.
Right.
But their stock values have dropped because their advertising dollars have shrunken, and it's because of the internet.
Yes.
And I don't see that footprint changing until they get into more of offering internet services through their marketing plans and that type.
Well, I think they are doing that. They've, when we did auction marketing budgets, we would normally do, 50% newspaper, maybe 60%, and now it's much, much less. Hey, Chris, thank you so much. You have a great weekend.
And thank you, and good luck to you, and appreciate your program.
You bet. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, it's Larry.
Hey, Larry. How are you doing, sir?
And I see you're running a couple minutes late.
Well, not a problem, and thank you so much for calling in, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can tell a story how we met years ago a little bit later.
Okay. So basically, my background is I was a federal bankruptcy trustee.
Mm-hmm.
Became president of the National Association of Bankruptcy Trustees, and ultimately was selected as the director of the Executive Office of the United States Trustee, overseeing the entire bankruptcy system in the United States. I served there from 2002 to 2005, and left to go to Bear Stearns, where I was a managing director. Stayed there about 3 years and left to form some private business ventures. Retired from those successfully at the end of last year, and kind of reinvigorated my consulting group currently I consult for probably 8 of the 11 largest banks in the United States, as well as the largest filer of claims in bankruptcy cases.
Well, you and I met 1,000 years ago in the Detroit area. You were a panel trustee. In fact, the general public, along with real estate agents and real estate investors, are listening in. What is a panel trustee?
Right. So Chapter 7 cases, people who file for bankruptcy relief under Chapter 7 of the Code, which is a liquidation, not a reorganization like Chapter 13, a trustee is appointed to do several things, including to investigate the financial affairs of the debtor, to determine whether or not there are any assets, to collect those assets, and liquidate the assets for the benefit of the creditors. And those trustees are appointed from a panel of trustees, which are maintained by the Office of the United States Trustee in each of the 92 regions throughout the United States.
Well, and again, we met out there. I think it was a small case. I think 5 or 6 houses and some land. I'm not sure it ever went to auction, but it was a pleasure meeting you. And I think we had lunch at a taco place somewhere out there. And again, your rise has been in the bankruptcy phase and have done a fantastic job. Where do you see trends in bankruptcy right now? Is there going to be more of them? Is it going to be less of them? What do you see as a trend in the bankruptcy courts right now?
It's a good question. So bankruptcy filings tend to be cyclical. Over the last 50 years, even without regard necessarily for economic conditions. It's about a 5-year cycle, and we're probably coming down the curve a little bit now. Each 5-year peak is a little bit higher than the last 5-year peak, but it is interesting that they run cyclical like that. People wonder, well, when times get good, aren't there less bankruptcies? Aren't there fewer bankruptcies? No. Actually, when times are good, lenders are looser with the money, and people take more risk. And the bankruptcy system, of course, is designed so that there can be a relief valve for the risk that people take. They take too much risk and they fail. Then there's relief. Of course, we want to encourage people to take risks. That's how this country was built, right?
Yes.
So, interesting that, the economic conditions don't always drive the number. Now, when we have a severe recession like we've had over the last few years, of course, that drives the number up as well.
Well, you have had a fantastic career in the bankruptcy field, and I remember you in the of course, the Detroit area deal. Tell us, as far as a real estate investor, because this is a real estate auction and a program that tends to tell people what's happening. Do you think we've kind of hit the bottom and now's the time, and you're at a unique position when no one has the crystal ball, but I would love to have your perception of where we are in the market right now.
Right. Again, a good question. I think that if you're a buyer, buying is good right now. Cash is king.
Yeah.
I think it's going to continue to stay good and may get better a little bit. For the sellers, I think the market has not quite bottomed out yet. I think that there is another tranche, as we would say, of mortgages, higher quality mortgages, where people had better resources, there were better credit risk to begin with. But as this drags on, this economy drags on, even those people start to have issues. And so I think there is another tranche of mortgages that are going to default or become delinquent. And I think the other issue is that the foreclosure process has been slowed and off and on stopped as the lenders have had problems with the claim issues and the documentation issues on the foreclosure side. So you probably haven't seen the natural flow of foreclosures in real time. And as that process loosens up, because it will get settled and it will get resolved, those people are, no question, behind on their homes. Those homes are going to be foreclosed on. And so there's kind of probably a backlog to some degree foreclosures that will be coming on the market as well. So I would say the worst is not yet over, but we're near the bottom.
Near the bottom, and good time and invest. And of course, wealth is made during these periods of time. Tell me about what you think. Is there a specific asset class that if you were an investor, you'd go after?
It's hard to say, and probably very community specific.
Sure. I just know that a lot of people have been talking multifamily because a lot of people can't find mortgages anymore,
right.
And financing is tough, and so they're renting, and so the multifamily seems to be good in several areas.
Yeah, look, Doug, I think that the kind of the era of home ownership, the dream of home ownership, being the dream and goal of every young couple, I think that's, those days may be gone possibly forever. There's no question in my mind that the tax laws are going to change. Tax laws do drive behavior, and without the availability of a mortgage deduction, that's going to change, the desirability of owning your own home and having a piece of land. Look, there's a lot of cost that goes to that, right?
Sure.
Owning a single-family home, maintenance and everything else. I've lived everywhere from, Southfield, Michigan to Wilton, Connecticut. And I tell you, middle class in Wilton, Connecticut is a big number.
Yes.
And if that big mortgage payment is not deductible, that would have had a dramatic impact on my income. And, I probably would have made other choices. So I think renting is going to grow. I think multifamily is going to grow. I think the self-storage business will grow as a result of that. And I think, individual home ownership for the average person probably shrinks.
Well, it's funny you say Wilton. I graduated from Danbury High 1,000 years ago, so I know the area. It's a small world. We are talking right now, folks, to Larry Friedman. He's the past president of the National Association of Bankruptcy Trustees, former director of the Executive Office of United States Trustees, former managing director of Bear Stearns. And right now, he is the managing member of Friedman Partners. Larry, how can people hire you and get your services? What's your website?
Well, we have a website, friedmanpartners.net, FRIEDMAN, Friedmanpartners, plural.net.
Mm-hmm.
There's a wealth of information on that website for the average consumer. I would bet the average consumer probably isn't going to look to retain our services, but again, we have a ton of information there, including individuals looking to file bankruptcy. How do they file? What's the bankruptcy process? What do they need to learn? There's a lot of links on there and educational things on there as well. And contact information is available on that site for listeners you may have or corporations who may be interested in services we offer or who are, again, ensnarled in the bankruptcy claim process.
Well, Larry, thank you so much. It's great to catch up with you after all these years. I've been working with your son, Jonathan, who's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. You have a great weekend, and we'll stay in touch.
Great. Thanks, Doug. Thanks so much.
You bet. All right. Got a new caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Doug.
Hey, Allison. How are you doing?
I'm doing well this morning. How are you?
Well, good. Tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Okay. My name's Allison Marchetti. I've been with Rowell Auctions for over 5 years, customer service specialist and call center specialist. I'm here local out of Moultrie, Georgia.
So you're the nice voice that answers when they call the 800 number.
Correct.
Very good. Rowell Auctions, how long has that been in business, and what do you all do?
Since 1936.
Wow.
We do all sorts of different types of auctions.
Okay, and we have Rowell Auctions been very involved in working with banks lately, large auctions, 100 properties, 200, 300 properties. A lot of it has been on the internet. Have you seen a growth in that, internet auctions?
Quite a bit of growth, yes.
Yeah, but they still want to talk to you.
correct.
Exactly. Tell
Well,
us.
I do help with website support.
Of course.
Navigating the website.
Of course. What's coming up with Rowell Auctions as far as upcoming auctions?
Well, tomorrow we have a beautiful lakefront home on Lake Blackshear.
Okay.
That's Chris County, Georgia, if anybody's interested. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock on site.
Okay.
We also have a few coming up in South Carolina and in North Carolina. And we have about over a dozen assets coming up in Lowndes County, Georgia. If anybody would like to go to the website and look at the information, it's RowellAuctions.com. And that's RowellAuctions.com.
RowellAuctions.com. Is there a telephone number people can call and talk to you and get to the right person to find out about these auctions?
Absolutely. It's 800-323-8388.
Do it one more time for us.
800-323-8388.
Well, you are also very involved in this show. You put together many of the production parts, and I wanted to thank you personally. You do a great job, and we have lots of people here that work on the show besides me, and Allison is one of the major reasons why this show has been a hit. So, Allison, thank you so much. Give us again the website so that people can find out about these auctions.
Sure. It's Rowell Auctions, that's with an S, spelled RowellAuctions.com.
Very good. And give us that 800 number one more time, too.
800-323-8388.
Very good. Hey, thank you so much for calling in, and appreciate all your help with the radio show. It sounds like we have a whole bunch of auctions coming up, and again,
No problem.
I appreciate the hard work.
Love to hear all the guests speak.
All right, you take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.